Okay, dear guests and dear kids, whoever is here to participate in our new virtual workshop. For this virtual workshop is good for kids starting from even 6 years old. Dear parents, you don't realize how many things and how capable our kids are. And today, one of our students, one of our successfully graduated students, Romy, is going to tell how to create a quiz game in Scratch. We hope that your child will enjoy this 30 minutes session, and hope that you have an account in Scratch website. If you have any question regarding how to create an account and regarding what website to use, please free to comment under this post and enjoy the session. If you want your child to try Scratch classes, you can always visit our website, kiddycodersclub.com, and sign up for a free trial. Thank you very much. And Romeo, go ahead and you can start the lesson. Thank you.
The website and the game that we're going to make is going to be something like this, where it will be a quiz game, where we'll ask you questions. You can either get the question wrong, or you can get it right and move on to the next question.
Oh, that is cool.
And we're going to be using a blocks and Scratch broadcasting, which will send messages between our sprites, telling them that this question is right and this question is wrong, and telling other sprites a certain sequence of command to do when they receive the message. And to make this easier, we're going to start and create all of our sprites at the beginning, so then we can put in the codes at the end. So the first thing is the backdrops. First backdrop we need to make is the home screen where you can start the game. You can put in
Romy, before you continue, Romy, excuse me, before you continue, I wanted to add that at the top of the video, you can see the website. It's scratch.mit.edu. So this is the website where your child can create his own account, and he can use a web version of this program, or he can install it on his desktop. Right now, Romy is using web version, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and there are differences. If you see, if you take a look at the interface of Scratch program, you see different options for codes, and you can see backdrop, different options for backdrops.
So we can add a backdrop from our Scratch library, which I can add that for the home page. I'll choose the circles. And here we can type in the name of whatever you want your name for your game to be. Let's type quiz trivia, and you can make this bigger to make it easier for players to see it. And you're just going to design it however you want. The text that will be in all, unless you want your text to be interactive or to move around in your images, you can make them part of the backdrop, so not to make too many sprites or confuse yourself. The next sprite we're going to make is our questions. So take your time and think up of some questions. And we can choose a backdrop for questions as well. So my first question, I've already thought of one. And so I'm going to type my question as part of our backdrop. and just change it up and it really does not have to be the exact same thing as I'm doing. This in Scratch, you can really be creative and make whatever you want. You can do different backgrounds, different questions, different everything, as long as it follows the basic topics of a quiz. So I'm going to do around 2 questions, and so you can see what it is. If you want to add more questions, you can feel free to do that. Okay, now that we've got all our backgrounds, we have our home page, we have question number 1 and question number 2, which is, you can name them actually. You can name them to make them easier as well. We can now we can go ahead and design our sprites. For your sprites, they'll just be the buttons that you can click, answer one of the question, answer 2. And before I forget, let's create one more backdrop, which is the backdrop, which is the page that you get when you got a question wrong. You'll see that when you're designing backdrops or sprites or things like that, you'll see a little menu over here. We have our mouse where you just click on things. This is when you can make things like, it works only for shapes usually, but when you can shape everything. I'm using vector, and so if you're on that, you can just click convert to vector, and then here you'll get the paint, the eraser, the bucket, and all the regular drawing tools. And then you can kind of explore that as well and use those to create your sprites and things like that. And if you want to make it easier, you can always choose from your sprite library. If you search a button, if you search up anything, most of the time you'll be able to find something. But I like to kind of draw my own buttons. So the first thing will be our start button, and I'm going to make it a circle kind of button. I'm going to make it more of a circle kind of right there. And we can add another circle right there in between. And then this is, once again, this is something to be creative with, which means it doesn't necessarily have to be exactly what I'm doing. And it shouldn't be, because this is your chance to get creative and create whatever you want to do. So here we can make our text black, and any color scheme, any backdrops would be okay. You can see how our button turned out pretty good. And then you can go ahead onto your backdrop, and you can go into the backdrop it's supposed to be on, and you can drag it over to where you want it to be, and that way it will stay there. Next thing we need to do is create our question buttons. So think of all the, we're going to make this multiple choice questions. So you can see that we have our questions, and we're going to make little buttons of what the possible answers that they can choose from will be. So the first one is this question. So I'm going to make this square. And then I'm going to add a little bit of text inside of it, with our first choice for what the answer could be, which is spiders. which was the correct answer. So it also helps you learn a bit of trivia when you make this game. And then the second answer, I'm going to make it yellow. Just to add a bit of color to this. And I'm going to type inside of it. Okay. Whoops. So in Bitmap, we can do this and we can copy this because I accidentally did it in the wrong place. So we have to delete that because I accidentally put it in the wrong thing. I shouldn't put it in the same place as our spiders question because it's a completely different question. So I need to make a completely new sprite for our second answer. Here we go. Once again, we can place them wherever we want on our board. And for second question, let's do it again. And then our last sprite will be the second choice for a second question. Put that there. And here we're going to have our last choice. Something that could make it a bit trickier is to kind of switch spots every once in a while between the answer. And if you're going to add more answers, something that could make the game a bit more fun and tricky is if you were to put the first few answers in one side of the board, and then at some point they think it's going to be on that side of the board again. For example, if I were to put all of the questions on this side, where the spiders is, if all of the correct answers would be there, that wouldn't be fun. So we need to switch it up between them every once in a while. And our last sprite. And now we can start coding. First thing we're going to code is we're going to animate our little start button. We're going to kind of animate it so that it can move around, and then when you click on it, the game will start. So the way we're going to do it, we're going to go to its code, and we're going to say when flag clicked, show, because at some point we're going to tell it to hide. So the first thing we're going to do on these is either show or hide, because at some point we're going to tell them to hide, which means they're just going to disappear from the game. They're still going to be there, but when you're playing the game, you won't be able to see them. Now we're going to add our forever block, which means it will be animating itself forever. It will be moving around the board forever. And in this case, I want it to move side to side. Now, how do I do that? I find the point where I first wanted to move to, which is right here where it is. And you can see the X and Y, which is the coordinates where it's standing. And I want it to glide to the position that it's in. And then I wanted to wait 0.5 seconds, not even 1 second, because otherwise that would be too long. If it were to be 0 seconds, it wouldn't even move. It would just go boom, 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 and that's not very fun. Actually, when we're gliding, we don't need the second box. Okay, and now the second point that we need to go to is right here. So I'm going to say glide 1 second here, and what it will look like is this. You can see how it's kind of moving, and it's animating itself. Now, forever, you can see under it, you can't put any blocks. And that's what I needed to do because I don't need to put any blocks under this. I'm going to drag when this sprite click, which will add another sequence of events for what happens when it clicks. We're going to tell it to hide first of all. And then it's going to need to, it can change a backdrop. So we're going to ask it to switch backdrop to question 1. And then it's going to broadcast a message. So let's go ahead and create a new message saying start the game. Make it something that you can remember. For example, if the game started, start the game. If the first question finished, question 1 finished. Something that you can remember and will be easy to find when you're looking for that specific one. So now start the game. The two sprites that we really need to receive start the game are this sprite one, which is the spider. First thing, actually, let's make these two sprites hide at the beginning of the game, because when flag clicked, let's go hide, because they kind of take space in the board, so we can't really see anything. Hide. And if two blocks have the same code, you can copy the code. You take the code, you drag it over to whatever block you have, and when it jiggles, you can just let the mouse go so that you can see that it just received it. Now, here you go. Okay, so these are the two blocks that we need to receive the message that the game has started, because they will pop up during the first question. So let's go to them, and we're going to say, when I receive start the game, show. And then we're going to add a little animating to it as well. And the way we're going to do that is we're going to add our forever block once again. And we're going to say, over here, we're going to do on looks, we're going to say change set size to 50%. And then we're going to say wait 0.5 seconds, because once again we don't want it waiting too long, or it would be like animating. It wouldn't be animating if you wait too long in between what it's supposed to do. And then we're going to go back to set size to 100, and once again we're going to wait 0.5 seconds. You see that when you do that, it's going to do that. It's kind of going to change sizes to make it a bit more interesting. And you can see this yellow line is bothering us here, so we can just go ahead and erase that. And now it's gone. Oops. Sorry. Well, it won't disappear. So we can't do anything about it, except that we can always take this right here. We can copy it, and then we can create another sprite, and we can paste it right there, meaning that there's no more yellow line. The yellow line doesn't really need to bother us, so now let's go ahead and do the same thing for our second choice. And what it's going to say, when I receive start the game, once again, we're going to say show. And once again, we're going to have it animate itself. So the exact same thing, you can always just go back to this and just copy it and then move it over to our second choice. But not necessarily. I'm just going to show you how to do the code. And we're going to change size to, set size to 50. So you see right now it's playing it, and if you see it, because there's no seconds in between, there's no time in between. It goes super fast, and you can't even see that it's moving. You can see the yellow one. You can't even see that it's supposed to be moving because it's just stuck on one side. But now, if I were to add, wait 1 second in between, it would be better. If I were to and wait 0.5 seconds, it definitely would be better. As you can see. Let's try that. And now we have to always add to them one flag click they hide, or they all pop up in the middle of our home screen, and it will all be confusing. So one flag click hide, one flag click hide. First, broadcasting can be a little bit confusing because you send messages everywhere, you receive messages everywhere. But when you start the game, you can always just press the green flag to start your game, and then check that everything's working fine. And if it's not working fine, you can go back and fix your mistake. And on our backdrop, we have to start with the home screen backdrop. So one flag click, we go switch backdrop to home page. And there you go. There you go. Now, what happens when we click on our answer? So far, nothing does. That's because we haven't coded anything to happen yet. So for closed spaces, it will be easier. So that's what we're going to start with. We're going to say, when this sprite clicked, switch backdrop to backdrop 1, which is our wrong one because that's the wrong answer. And then we're going to have it broadcast a message called wrong Q1, which means question 1, because there will be a wrong one in question 2 as well. Actually, we can make one wrong because it will work for it will work for both because those are hidden during this time. Broadcast wrong Q1. When this one receives wrong question 1, it needs to hide because only the backdrop will need to show up. To hide. So close spaces. It also needs to hide when that happens. Hide. It's going to broadcast from Q1. It's going to wait 1 second or so so that they can actually see that the wrong was on the screen, and then they can go back and they can say, and then they can go back. And they can show again. It can go back and it can show again, and then it can broadcast once again. Broadcast. Actually, no. What we can do to make it a little easier, not broadcast anything, we can tell it to wait 1 second so that it still shows up at the same time. So you can see that it shows. So let's see how that works. When I click this, wrong, and then, oops. So we gotta make it switch back to back. We're going to switch it back to a question. So you can see now when you click on the wrong one, And there you have it. Now what happens when you click on Sprite 2? When this sprite clicked, when the correct answer is clicked, it's going to switch the backdrop to question 2. It's going to hide because it's not needed anymore in the game. And it's going to hide, and it's going to need to broadcast a message saying that question 1 is done. Q1 done. Because everything else, the 2 other answers will need to show up, and the answer from the previous question will need to hide. So when this one receives that question 1 is done, all it's going to do is hide. When these receive it, when they receive Q1 done, all they're going to do is show up. And then they're going to do their little animation as well, which we can always just copy from here. Now that we have all the codes in the other sprites, some codes we can just copy and add them to the next sprite. So now we can just copy our this one, which will take it to the first choice, and to the and did it get there? This one didn't get it. Maybe. Okay, I guess we're going to have to do that code on its own, but it's just going to be here. And I receive Q1 done. Show forever. Set size to 100 and set size to 50. And in between, as always, wait 0.5 seconds. There you have that. Here we go. And then once we press the correct answer, we have those as well. Now, something I noticed was that this one wasn't connected. So I noticed I had a question wrong and I fixed it. So now we can see that this one is wrong and this one is right, so that the next question shows up. So you pretty much need to do the exact same code except to change up a few messages for these two. You can take this code right here. When I receive wrong Q1, so just send when I receive wrong Q1, you can see the wrong question 1, it can count for question 2 as well. And that's because when question 1 is on, they will be hidden anyway. Actually, no, that won't work out because at the end it says to show, which is not going to work. I'm going to take these away. We need to do a new message, which will be wrong Q2. So when this one is clicked, it will just do the exact same thing pretty much. So let's go here, and we're gonna get, when this sprite click, we're gonna get all of that and drag it over to our incorrect answer. Which is when this sprite click switch, we're gonna hide broad, and we're gonna broadcast this time wrong question 2. and not instead of question 1, can wait 1 second, switch it back to question 2 this time and show. And then we can take the one we got from the correct answer. Which is, oh, nothing happened to our spiders here, as well as these pickles that when I receive wrong Q2 is when it needs to happen, and these didn't hide during when the question was wrong. So when they receive wrong Q1, then what they need to do is they need to hide, wait 1 second, and then show. So now you can see that it works better. So like I said, I'm just running through our code and I'm seeing that everything is right. And now the spiders are popping up.
And also, I wanted to add that in order to write a specific code for a specific sprite, you have to select that sprite first, right? In order to write a code for
So
it.
you can see on the bottom that there's a menu of all the sprites you've created, and you're going to have to click on them in order to access the codes that they had.
Yes.
So I accidentally put in the wrong broadcasted message on here, which is why it showed up here. And that's why, like I said, you need to make sure everything is okay, and then you can go back and fix the code. So now it will work okay. When I click on the correct answer, it also works good. So
what is the group of hedgehogs called? Do you even know an answer?
yeah, it's called the pickle actually.
So yes, and there is actually a hint because it's green. You can understand that this is the right answer.
No, I just put it on
like
because pickles are green, so that's why I put it on.
Oh, I see. Yes, and house
but you could use that as a hint. That's actually true.
Yeah. Yes, correct. And what about another one with the cosmos background or something like that?
So this
about
one was
about some phobia. Is it in a separate?
Arachnophobia is a fear of what, which is
arachnophobia. I haven't heard about this fear. So the code is ready, right? And what happens?
It's almost ready because we have to finish up the last question, which is almost done as well, because we need to, the last thing we need to do is show what happens when we click the house and the pickle.
Oh, yes, right. Okay.
When the house, we already got that.
Okay.
And now we're gonna do we're gonna work on our last sprite, which will be the correct answer. So we can look back on what we did for our last correct answer here and what happened when it was clicked. And we went ahead and we switched the backdrop to the next question. In this case, we're going to switch it back to the home page where it's going to hide and it's going to broadcast that the game has restarted. And once again, if you want to add your own questions at the end, you can go ahead and do that. So this code, so you can, using what we've done for the other two questions, you can create more questions and add more details to your game. So, and for our pickle, when our pickle is clicked, it's going to switch our backdrop to the home page. It's going to hide, and it's going to broadcast our last message, which is done game, because our game will be finished. And you can see it's pretty much the same as here. So when This one receives done game. We already have it. When this one receives done game, the only thing it needs to do is hide. And then our start button, when it receives done game, it will show. Now our game should be done, except that last thing we can do is we can add a bit of music if you like. I don't know if you can hear this, but there's a scratch library here, and the best place to get the music would be loops, which is a bit of music. Yeah, I don't think you can hear it, but here we go. We can have the backdrop played on a loop forever and ever and ever. We are gonna say play sound until done, and it's gonna go on that forever and ever and ever and ever and ever. So let's see your finished game. Wrong question, wrong answer, and the correct answer, which moves on. Wrong answer, right answer, and it restarts.
Oh, okay, great. That is cool, Romy. I like that so much. Thank you very much for sharing this, and hopefully to see you soon again.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks everyone who participated. Again, please feel free to comment any questions that we have in the above this post, and see you later. Thanks. Have a great day.